Thank you, General. Now, Stewart Baker.
Right. I am the good news. That's what I'm here to deliver, believe it or not. Although apparently I can't get onto the system to open up the...
Because it was hacked.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about the good news here, because I think we are a little behind the times in thinking about some of these cyber problems. There is a revolution going on in attribution, and the Mandiant report is a good example of that. And that revolution, properly understood, is going to change our policy options. And the question is whether we're going to seize the opportunity to use the policy options that we are being provided by the ability to attribute some of these attacks that we're beginning to discover. Now, this is from a larger presentation that I do about attack and defense that begins more or less, since every general in the Pentagon seems to be waiting for the lawyers to tell them what they can do before they come up with a cyber war strategy. I got a JD, I'll give you a strategy. And I get to the attack point, that's what everybody likes to hear about, and of course the next problem is, who are we going to attack? And then people start to, wring their hands and say, oh, but we don't know who's attacking us, it's so hard, it's so hard. It's not that hard. And that's what we have discovered. And as I said when I asked Chairman Rogers the question, we've discovered that not because the CIA has told us, not because NSA has told us, or DHS, but because brave people who got into command and control servers that were owned by the Chinese got in and looked around and told us what they found, and they found a hell of a lot. They found girlfriends' pictures, they found phone numbers and QQ addresses, and a whole bunch of stuff that allowed us to determine who was attacking us. And the reason for that is it is not possible to operate in cyberspace these days without leaving little digital bits of your DNA all over cyberspace. It's just like Pigpen. We've got this cloud of stuff falling off us whenever we walk around in cyberspace. And I should have said, this is going to be the Huffington Post version of cybersecurity. You get a little bit of fact, and you get a fair amount of opinion, and you get a strategic amount of cleavage. So I knew Director Woolsey would like that. The rest of you, I apologize in advance. So what are these digital bits? Here's one. So what this says, all right, I'm being censored here. What this says is, this was put up on a site of law enforcement agencies that had been hacked by Anonymous. And in lead speak, this says, you've been pwned by Warner and cabin crew, love you bitches. And it's the picture speaks for itself. It turns out that this was taken with an Apple iPhone. And unbeknownst to the guy who took it, it very helpfully included the geographic coordinates where it was taken. And the FBI said, went to this suburb of Sydney and, as they said, obtained a positive identification of the subject. I said, wow. So apparently the Secret Service is not the only law enforcement agency that's having a great time abroad. They then discovered that her boyfriend lived in Corpus Christi, Texas, and he is now serving a year in prison for his attack. And just to make this G-rated, he has married the subject of the photo. So it's like everybody, it's turned out well for everybody. So that's kind of an unclassified view of the world, but I've been trying to popularize Baker's law that sums up the attribution opportunity, which is our security sucks, but so does theirs. And that's what we need to do. They are no better at securing their communications and their data than we are, and we know we're bad at it. right? So let's start taking advantage of the fact that we can find out all kinds of stuff about the people who are attacking us. And so it creates this enormous set of options for policymakers. And I'll try to be quick about this. Many people know what Attribution 101 is. You've got all the people who've been compromised up on that top line. Then the command and control server, which tells them all what to do and receives all their reports about the information. Then headquarters takes that information from the command and control server and ultimately passes on to some final customer who actually is going to use the information that that has been stolen. So if we can break down that set of information, if we can start penetrating each of those steps along the espionage trail, we can go from attribution to, it's not deterrence, it's retribution, come on. That's what we should be doing. And so we can expose and isolate nation states and show that they are engaged in activity that will embarrass the hell out of them. That's a great opportunity. We can impose sanctions on spies. We have an opportunity to actually say we are going to impose sanctions of the sort that actually the FinCEN talks about. Why not say we are designating you a specially designated national hacker? We already have specially designated nationals for blood diamond traders. I mean, really, that is not our most important national security problem. What you have here is a couple of people whose pictures were actually taken with their home PC cameras by counter hackers who were investigating the attack. We can identify these guys and impose sanctions on them individually. This is my favorite story here. One of the hackers actually had a blog. One of the hackers who did the United States government serious damage had a blog that he was running under a pseudonym in which he complained. He cited the Prison Break TV series and complained about how horrible his life was, how bored he was out in the suburbs, and how much he yearned to break free of the prison that his hacking unit had imposed on him. And I thought to myself, oh, wow, we could figure out who these guys are. They're so bored. We'll offer them $1 million and an S visa to come to the United States. The first one gets $1 million, the second one gets $100,000, the third one gets $10,000, everybody else gets indicted. Prison Break meets Prisoner's Dilemma. We could do it tomorrow if we had the nerve. We could deny visas to companies who are hiring these guys. We've seen Tencent, which has one of these things, actually hired one of the hackers who did the United States government agencies. Well, we should be saying, you know, if you want to come to the United States, do business here, and have visas to come here, you need to cooperate with our investigation. We aren't doing that, but we could. And then finally, to my mind, the ultimate goal of this is to find the guys who are actually stealing and using the data. You know, the PLA is not is not using most of the data. It's stealing. It's giving it to state-owned enterprises so that those state-owned enterprises can go out and do business in the West, where we can reach them and prosecute them if we can establish that they got the information that they used to outbid Exxon for a particular oil tract or otherwise to steal data, to steal designs. If we can find that information inside their crappy, unsecure networks to prove that they actually stole this information or are benefiting from it, we can prosecute them. And that will change everybody's view about how much fun it is to engage in that activity. And so let me just, last point, what's the role for private companies? This is a brief summary of what I said to Chairman Rogers. This is how much help you're going to get from the police if somebody steals your bike. They will tell you how sorry they feel about it, and they will tell you what kind of lock you should buy next time for the next bike you own. That is the treatment we're getting from the FBI and the CIA when we go to them for help, because they don't have the ability to help. They don't have the resources to do the help. We need to engage the private sector, which will spend a lot of money to find out who's attacking us, to get access to the kinds of information that's necessary to bring a criminal action against the people who are attacking us. That's what we need. Instead, what we're getting, and I think even from Chairman Rogers, is a classic government response. We can't actually help you with your criminal problem, but we can make sure that you can't defend yourself. That can't be the right answer, and we've got to find a new approach that drags in the capabilities of the private sector as well as the government resources that we need. Thanks.